So this question is so realistic and often asked by almost all the beginners who are starting to learn about MITRE ATT&CK framework or are onto the MITRE ATT&CK framework learning journey in their cybersecurity career is how do we interpret this so-called framework, right? Whether it's supposed to be like a standard, whether it's supposed to be an enforcement, whether it's applicable for red teams, whether it's applicable for blue teams. So it's all around that. How do we make this framework applicable and how do we interpret this framework? And this again is a very important and most favorite interview question as well, that what is MITRE ATT&CK? And that's a separate reel that I'll be making all together and on how do you answer this question, that what is MITRE ATT&CK during interviews. But one thing that I've realized and learned from my experience so far is that there are multiple ways to interpret, or I could say there are multiple ways to make this framework applicable in your environment. Meaning, if you are eating a pizza, right, there are various ways that you can find various types of pizza. So if I'm suppose eating a pizza from a high-end Italian restaurant, the type of toppings, the type of bread, the type of ingredients will change versus I'm eating a pizza probably in Italy. So it will change, right? So it's the same dish, but there are multiple ways, multiple variations, multiple applicability use cases of that one single pizza. Now, don't water your mouth hearing this. Let's come back to the topic. The best way to interpret is to think it as a communication layer. If you are a beginner, think of MITRE ATT&CK as a communication standard. That how do you learn about more and more attacks? How do you learn about more and more techniques that are used by the attackers to leverage and to break into defenses? If you are someone already working into security operations, or you are transitioning from a normal SOC L1 to a threat hunting job, and in between you're transitioning how to understand MITRE ATT&CK framework, is you understand it in a way that, hey, this is a framework which is telling me that these are the ways an attacker can break into it. If you are a red teamer, think of it as a framework which is guiding you that these are the possible ways you can break into defenses, and you can test out the efficacy of your own company or your own organization or your own home SOC setup. If you are into blue teaming, into SecOps at a semi to mid standard level or a mature level, think it of as a framework that is guiding you that, hey, these are the TTPs that are used to break into your defenses. Are your defenses strong enough to detect these TTPs, right? And if you're someone into mix of red and blue, it's a best communication tool between red and blue, because red and blue do not have a common communication standard. So MITRE ATT&CK acts as a common communication standard, wherein red says, hey, these are the TTPs I'm able to execute. Blue says, these are the TTPs that I'm not able to detect. Effective communication between red and blue creates purple teaming. So it's an effective communication way for purple teaming as well. Or even if you're at a C level or at a business scale or at a managerial level, think of MITRE ATT&CK as a tool or a framework which is guiding you in understanding that how the business was impacted and what you could do to not make it impact any further in the future. So the business layer, use MITRE ATT&CK abbreviations and try to convert it into the business risk layer, that if this TTP executes, what are the risks that my business will face if this is successful?